One station focusing on business, economy, and development. With global digital reach, we connect Africa's pulse to the world stage. Welcome to Souq News Television, and here we go beyond the headlines. From breaking news, in-depth conversational programs, to market analysis and indices. From policies affecting growth to unique documentaries, from live event coverage to bespoke productions, will deliver content that connects you to the world. At Souq News Television, we provide news surrounding business, economy, and development, infomercials and jingles that stand out, short and long-form documentaries crafted to international standards, independent production spaces with full technical support, special coverage for individual and corporate events, a special form of documentaries through our prestige package, Immortals, where we tell your story the way you'd love it, and business support services tailored for small enterprises. Souq News TV, powered by FemWatch Limited, also home to the IL 95.9 FM Lagos and Kasua 99.7 FM Kano, and Emirate News Television Abuja, together forming Africa's trusted media powerhouse. Storytelling, coverage, and connection that matters. Souq News TV, your home for business, economy, and development. Traffic regulations are practices put in place in both developed and underdeveloped countries. They are designed to ensure the safety of all road users, reduce accidents, and promote orderly movement. Either you are a driver or a passenger, every road user is required to understand and follow these laws. Under obligations, drivers must possess a valid driver's license issued by the authorized body. In Nigeria, this is the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC.
Individual, like I've just said, most Nigerians, as we know, celebrate their date of birth. And as such, when you obtain a driver's license, says for 3 years or 5 years, you already know if you do it today, in the next 5 years, when you'll be celebrating your birthday, you are already aware that your license is due for renewal. You don't have to even wait until that date. By law, a month to that date, you should start processing the renewal of the driver's license.
While other countries have their respective designated authorities, vehicles must also be properly registered and insured, with up-to-date documentation readily available when requested by law enforcement officers. Mandatory rules include observing speed limits, which vary depending on the road type. In cities, the limit is 50 km per hour, increasing to 80 km per hour on highways and 100 km per hour on expressways. Before hitting the road, seat belts are mandatory for both drivers and front seat passengers. Also, all traffic signs, signals, and road markings must be obeyed. Drivers must remember that using a mobile phone while driving is a punishable offense unless assisted by a hands-free device. Drunk driving is illegal, with penalties ranging from fines and license suspension to imprisonment. For passengers, wearing seatbelts is essential, and distracting the driver should be avoided at all costs. In public transport, any reckless driving should be reported to the authorities, and pedestrians, on the other hand, must also cross at designated pedestrian crossings, zebra crossings, or pedestrian bridges where available. They should follow pedestrian traffic lights and only cross when the signal indicates it is safe. Looking left, right, and left again before stepping onto the road is crucial and should avoid running while crossing. Making eye contacts with approaching vehicles ensures they see you before you proceed. By following traffic regulations, road users can prevent accidents, protect lives, and contribute to smoother transportation for everyone. Grace Komolafe, Souq News Television. To you the remarkable life of a Nigerian businesswoman who has overcome significant challenges to become one of the most successful entrepreneurs in Africa. Let me tell you about the strength, resilience, and passion for success of a woman who journeyed into the male-dominated world of oil exploration and production. A woman who displayed her love for philanthropic endeavors and her commitment to empowering others, particularly women and young people. This woman is Folorunsho Alakija. It takes only the brave, courageous, and smart-minded people to become rich and influential personalities in the world. In Africa, when we mention the names of rich and powerful women, you must mention the name Folorunsho Alakija, the richest woman in Africa. Her net worth, according to Forbes, is $1 billion. Now, how did she start? Let's take you down memory lane on the life of Folorunsho Alakija. Folorunsho Alakija was born on Sunday, 15th July 1951 to Chief L.A. Ogbara, her father, and Mrs. Ogbara, her mother, who is a businesswoman. She was born into a polygamous family of 8 wives and 52 children. Her mother was the first wife, and she was the 8th child of her mother. Young Folorunsho grew up at her family house located at Ido Oluwo Street, Ikorodu, Lagos. She had her nursery education at Our Lady of Apostles Nursery School from 1955 to 1958, also in Lagos. At the age of 7, her parents enrolled her at a primary school in Wales called Dino Ben School for Girls in Wales. She was in that boarding school for 4 years before she returned to Nigeria. After her primary education, she attended Muslim High School, Shagamu, Ogun State in 1963. Well, during the holidays, she would go to her mother's shop to participate in the textile business. She would learn about trading and marketing of textiles. Generally, she learned a lot of tricks about business. After graduation from high school, she enrolled at Pitman Central College, London, to study secretarial studies. In 1974, Folorunsho started her career working as an executive secretary at Sijuade Enterprises. After gaining some experience there, she moved on to First National Bank of Chicago, now First City Monuments Bank, working as the executive secretary to the managing director. Later, she was appointed the new head of the Corporate Affairs Department of the International Merchant Bank of Nigeria, formerly First National Bank of Chicago. She moved on in her career to become office assistant to the Treasury Department. After spending 12 years in the banking sector,
Folorunsho traveled to London in 1984 to study fashion designing. She studied intensive courses in millinery and fashion design at the American College in London and the Central School of Fashion. When she returned to Nigeria, she established her fashion label called Supreme Stitches. Within 3 weeks of setting up her business, she was invited to take part in a fashion competition. Folorunsho won the competition that brought her straight into the limelight of the fashion industry in Nigeria. Prominent women from different parts of the country started making clothes with her. Her fashion company thrived successfully, and a few years later, she renamed it to the Rose of Sharon House of Fashion, making it a proper fashion line. As her success in fashion grew, she was later made national president of the Fashion Designers Association of Nigeria, FADON, and a lifelong trustee of the association. By the early 1990s, Folorunsho decided it was time to expand her business tentacles to oil and gas. Her company, FAMFA Limited, was incorporated in September 1991. The company applied for an oil prospecting license, OPL, to explore a 617,000-acre block for oil, now OPL 216. In August 1993, the company was awarded the leasehold rights of OPL 216 oil block, and it was renamed officially. FAMFA Oil was changed to FAMFA Oil Limited. Its goal was to be the forefront of indigenous oil and gas exploration and production in Nigeria. Folorunsho got on board the exploration of a major deep water oil field located 1,500 meters off the Niger Delta, the Agbami field. She gained access by partnering with Star Deepwater Petroleum, a subsidiary of Texaco, through a joint venture agreement. FAMFA Oil Limited then appointed Star Deepwater Petroleum as its official technical advisor for the OPL 216 exploration license. The company received 40% of FAMFA's 100% stake, while the remaining 60% was retained by FAMFA and the Alakija family. It was discovered in 1998 by Shell. Star Deepwater Limited, an affiliate to Chevron, functions as the operator of the field. Through her company, FAMFA, Folorunsho and other companies are oil benefactors of the Agbami field. The Agbami field was first discovered in 1998 but only became active in 2008. Its operations will last throughout 2024. After a majority of its vast reserves would have been extracted, she had to fight back against the government in court for laying claims to a 50% stake in her company. It was initially a 40% stake, but the government later returned for an additional 10%, claiming that the company generated a revenue of $10 million from the oil block. Folorunsho felt it was unfair because her company had worked hard, invested everything in the business. When the fruits of their labor started to manifest, that's when the government took everything away. The Alakija family fought the government in court until they won on May 22, 2012. The first drilling of the Agbami well was done on 15 July 1998. The exploratory well was about 4,700 feet underwater, which was the deepest depth in Nigeria at that time. From the license application to the point of the company's first strike, there was an interval of 17 years. Today, FAMFA Oil Limited is a leading oil and gas exploration company. Folorunsho Alakija has other businesses in property, real estate, and in printing. She owns Dayspring Property Development, a real estate company with investments in different parts of the world. She also owns Digital Reality Print Limited, a printing company and corporate services provider. And in the area of philanthropy, Folorunsho's success story would not be complete without mentioning how she wants to give back to society. She wants to help those in need. Hence, she started the Rose of Sharon Foundation, which was created in 2008. It is a registered faith-based NGO that has empowered widows and their families and orphans to be successful through education programs and scholarships up to the university level within the country, Nigeria. Through Famfa Oil Limited, Folorunsho also hands out yearly scholarships to 9,000 medical and engineering students across the nation. The foundation has also donated a total of 21 chest clinics for the treatment of tuberculosis in 21 states across Nigeria, including the Niger Delta region and Lagos State. They have successfully donated 4 e-libraries and 2 school libraries to schools within the nation. In addition, she has a foundation created to empower women called Flourish Foundation. It encourages women in their different careers and provides grants for female entrepreneurs who want to start a business. Folorunsho is also a writer and has written a few books. For instance, one of the books titled The Cry of Widows and Orphans, and the University of Marriage, and also the Folorunsho Alakija Speaks, to mention a few. Now, Folorunsho's personal life would not be complete in this article without mentioning her husband, Mr. Modupe Alakija. Folorunsho and Modupe got married in November 1976. Their marriage is blessed with 4 sons and their grandchildren, and they reside in Lagos, Nigeria. Folorunsho holds so many awards and recognitions for her contribution to society. She holds 6 honorary degrees and a fellowship at the Yaba College of Technology. In July 2013, she was appointed as the Vice Chairman of Nigerian National Heritage Council and Endowment for Arts. She became the first female chancellor in Osun State University and Nigeria's first female chancellor on the 9th of March 2016. She is also one of the Lagos Business School's alumnus and a member of the Commonwealth and Investment Council Advisory Board. She is also an advisory board member for Center of African Studies, Harvard. On July 17, 2021, Benson Idahosa University, Benin City, bestowed on her an honorary doctorate degree in business administration. In conclusion, Folorunsho Alakija's story is a tale of hard work, determination, persistence, and courage. She was able to build up her marriage, raise an upstanding family, and build her empire. She also faced challenges in her life, but she conquered these challenges. She is living proof that success is not limited by gender, age, nationality, or financial backgrounds, but rather success is the product of courage to take risks and stand up strong in the face of adversity.
At the heart of a strong currency lies a simple principle. The demand for local goods drives production, creates jobs, reduces reliance on imports, and ultimately stabilizes the exchange rate. Countries like Rwanda, South Africa, and Egypt have achieved remarkable success by investing in their own industries. Rwanda has built a textile industry that competes with foreign imports. South Africa has developed a powerful automobile sector, and Egypt has excelled in agribusiness exports. These nations have strengthened their currencies by prioritizing local production, consumption, and exports. Nigeria, with its vast resources, stands at the threshold of a similar transformation. When Nigerians buy locally made products, fewer dollars flow out of the country for imports, preserving foreign exchange reserves. As local industries become more competitive, they can also expand exports, particularly under the African Continental Free Trade Area, bringing in foreign exchange and strengthening the naira. In 2022, Nigeria spent over $9 billion on food imports. If just half of that had been directed towards locally made goods, it could have significantly reduced pressure on the naira. The key lies in industries with the potential to drive economic growth: agro-processing, textiles, automotive, technology, and leather goods. Nigeria is already a leader in agriculture, but to fully benefit, the country needs to move beyond exporting raw commodities to processed goods. Products like cashew nuts, shea butter, palm oil derivatives, and hibiscus flowers command higher prices internationally. Ghana earns about $2 billion annually from cocoa processing, while Nigeria's cocoa exports lag far behind. With investment in food processing plants and the branding of agricultural exports as premium African products, Nigeria can bridge this gap, reduce reliance on European imports, and tap into Africa's fast-growing middle class. The Nigerian fashion industry has also gained global recognition, but the country still imports billions of dollars in textiles. In 2021, Nigeria imported over $4 billion worth of textiles, while Ethiopia, using local cotton, earned $110 million from garment exports. By boosting local textile manufacturing and using Nigerian cotton, Nigeria could reclaim a significant share of the $15 billion Africa fashion industry, positioning cities like Lagos, Aba, and Kano as textile hubs. Nigeria's automobile sector also presents an opportunity. The country spends over $8 billion annually on vehicle imports. In contrast, South Africa's automotive sector contributes over $12 billion to its GDP and employs more than 100,000 people. By implementing policies that support local vehicle assembly and production, Nigeria can reduce import dependency, create jobs, and become the region's automobile hub. Nigeria's tech ecosystem, home to fintech giants like Flutterwave and Paystack, is already Africa's largest. If Nigerians prioritize homegrown software solutions, the country can reduce capital flight and strengthen its tech industry, making Nigeria a global player in technology. The leather industry, particularly in Kano, also holds significant potential. While Nigeria produces some of the finest leather in Africa, much of it is exported as raw material. If we focus on producing high-end leather goods like handbags, shoes, and belts, Nigeria can meet local demand and expand exports. Ethiopia's leather exports exceeded $133 million in 2022, while Nigeria's remained under $50 million. By branding and exporting premium leather products, Nigeria can become Africa's leather capital, boosting the naira through increased foreign exchange earnings. To strengthen the naira, Nigeria must prioritize investments in infrastructure, improve product standards, enhance branding, and implement policies that favor local manufacturers. Consumers must also consciously choose locally made products to create jobs and drive industrial growth. The success stories of Ghana, South Africa, and Ethiopia show that this strategy works. It is time for Nigeria to invest in and promote made in Nigeria goods, solidifying and strengthening the naira for a more self-sustaining and prosperous economy.
Well, Supporters Club had been there for 66 years when it was founded officially, but those who founded it were just doing it for the fun. We just come to the field, drum, sing and go. Nobody gave them any recognition. But I joined them in the year 1977. Well, I paid 2 naira to join. And how did I join? It was because of an incident that happened at the National Stadium. The Shooting Stars of Ibadan and the Bendel Insurance of Benin were playing the semi-final of the FA competition that year. And I had to go to enter the stadium. I paid 4 naira to watch the game. But while entering the stadium, the whole place was filled. And when I got inside, there was no place for me to sit down. So many of us were standing. Out there, people outside the gate of the stadium, there were more than the people right inside. So as at a point in time, while standing, some people just took me off ground and threw me into the crowd. And I started rolling until I landed on the culvert, concrete. Concrete slab. Before I knew it, over 50 people were on my top. And I could no longer breathe. So to me that day, it appeared I was going to die. But through the grace of God, I was able to wriggle out myself of that position. And the man directly on top of me had to leave, because what I did was by biting him. And I had to struggle to go under the concrete slab. And I was right there for the first half of the game, 45 minutes. I was right there under the concrete slab. I couldn't watch the game. It was the breeze that was coming from the outer part of the stadium that saved the situation. After the first half, you know, people will get up to go to the toilets, to go and buy drinks and meet their friends. I had the opportunity of coming out, and a good Samaritan gave me a small place to sit. Even at that, I was very unconscious. I was not comfortable. But the game ended. It was a drawn game. When the game ended, everybody left the stadium. But because I wasn't very comfortable, I had to wait in the stadium for like an hour and a half before I left. So when I left and I got home, 9 p.m. network news, breaking news, 32 people died in the stadium that day. And that, the thought came to me, I probably could have been one of them. But I thank God. That was what informed my decision to say, I will not go to the stadium again until I have the best way to go into the stadium without being killed, maimed, or injured. And I decided to move with those people, and I joined them. But then we were just doing it. Maybe 20 of us, 15, 30 of us, we meet under the trees of the National Stadium, and we go home. And since that period, immediately I became a member, I introduced what they call flag bearing. When from 1977 to 1990, every Nigerian team that came out of the tunnel or goes out there outside Nigeria to play, you will see the Nigerian green, white, green flag being carried by one person. It's me. I did that flag bearing for 13 whole years. Whenever the team is played, I will be there with them, whether it's the Super Eagles, the under 20, the under 23, the Falcons, and the rest, all our national teams. Even our club sides going out to play Continental, when you see the green, white, green of Nigeria, I used to be the one carrying that flag. So I was with them, and I rose within the ranks from being an assistant secretary to becoming the national secretary and also the chairman of the disciplinary panel of the Nigerian Football Supporters Club. And by 1990, I was voted to be the chairman. That was when the thoughts of registering the club came. So when you hear that the Nigerian Football Supporters Club founder officially, because of its registration, I did the registration. Registering the club, I moved it from Lagos to Ibadan, Oyo State. I'm an Ibadan man. Charity begins at home, they say. So I went to Ibadan. From Ibadan, I moved to Bauchi. I moved to Abuja, Kano, Port Harcourt, all the states of the Federation. By 1992, I went to Cote d'Ivoire, in Abidjan precisely, to launch the Supporters Club. I went there physically, bringing the Nigerians together, those living in Abidjan. I formed the Supporters Club and launched it officially. I left that place, I went to Ghana. I launched it in Ghana. Leaving Ghana, I went to Gambia. I went to Burkina Faso. I went to Mali. I went to Republic of Benin. I went to Togo. I went to all the countries of Africa, putting the Supporters Club in place in those countries. By 1995, I moved to the United States of America. I launched the Supporters Club at the Giant Sports Stadium in New Jersey in 1995. After that, I went to France in 1997 to launch the Supporters Club in France in 1997, because we were already thinking of going to France to play in the World Cup. And if the Super Eagles will not have enough supporters there, what will happen to them? Don't forget that I led the Supporters Club to the United States of America for the very first time we played in the World Cup in 1994. I was at the Copa America in 1995. That was when I had the opportunity of launching the Supporters Club in America. In 1996, I led the Supporters Club to Atlanta in 96. And the winning of the trophy, the goal in football event, made possible by the supporters club, support of the supporters club. Because when you listen, when that match, you remember that we played a match with Brazil in the preliminary stage, and we lost 1-0. But we had the opportunity again to meet them during the semi-final. And during the semi-final, Brazil had given us 3 goals. We were trailing 1-3 at the interval. And when the second half came up, we were given a penalty, I think 25 minutes to the end of the game. One of our players, I don't want to mention the name, but he knows, he lost that penalty kick. That was when God told me, sing this song. It's a miracle working God. It's a miracle working God. He's the Alpha and Omega. He's a miracle working God. Of course, my members chorused. Indeed, miracle came. We scored the second goal. And the then Minister of Sports, Chief Jim Nwobodo, came to our stand and said, Ladipo, I heard you guys singing, it's a miracle working God. It's like God is going to make a miracle to happen today. I said, yes. And we continued. I changed the song. I have a Father who never fails. I have a Father who never fails. I have a Father who never fails. Who never fails. Who never fails. Forevermore. Amen. Jesus never failed. Amen. Jesus never failed. Amen. Jesus never failed. Jesus never failed. Jesus never failed. Forevermore. We scored the third goal. Then another song came. Boya chukuna gaza. Boya chukuna gaza mere. Messiah yobiuma. Boya chukuna gaza. The match ended and there was to be the extra time. And that time was a sudden death rule. Immediately I sang that song, my people chorused. And the ball was coming to Kanun Wakwo. He was backing the goalkeeper. Chested the ball, raised it up, turned around and tapped it to the net. And that was the 4 goals the Nigerian team scored against Brazil. And they started crying. And I decided to form another song. When Nigeria beat Brazil, when Nigeria beat Brazil, oh, Bebeto start to cry. When Nigeria beat Brazil, why Bebeto? Because they pulled him out. They were thinking they were reserving him because they thought they would meet Argentina in the final. Unknowingly to them, that they will be beaten, they don't know. So I did that song, and we sailed into the final, meeting Argentina in the final. And that again happened. Argentina was leading us 2-1, but we came from 1-2 to beat them 3-2. Yeah, to answer your question, I did that to tell you what the supporters club is to the team. And what this man felt by registering the club is that I have that belief, and it is general, everybody must have it, that this is Nigeria, it's our country. We have to do something by giving it a positive image, whether in Nigeria or outside. You do know that all of us cannot be Mr. President of Nigeria. All of us cannot be governors, and not all of us will be members of the National Assembly. But all of us as Nigerians have special roles to play in giving our country a befitting and positive image. That is the reason why this man has been following football supportership all the time to date. Well, I want to tell you, like I said earlier on, the grace of God has been the secret. The other secret is that my members, I get them reoriented to believe in my vision. All of them supports what I was doing. They all love this country. They want to contribute their own to the good name of Nigeria. That has been the secret. And don't forget, any member of the supporters club should be referred to as a patron par excellence, because they are not paid. They are not giving any allowance. They use their time, their money, even at the risk of their lives, to support the cause of Nigeria through supportership. Well, majorly, it is funding. The challenges is funding, because if you have to support the team, yes, they are playing in Lagos, you may not spend much money. But when they are playing in Enugu, they are playing in Uyo, they are playing in Abuja, you need money, no matter how. But come to think of you traveling with 100, 200, 300, 600 supporters outside Nigeria. They will not go by road. They will go by air. It's a lot of money that we need in running the supporters club. So our main challenges has been that of funding. But I can assure you that God has been good to us. We have had some philanthropists, some organizations who have come to assist us by way of supporting us, giving us a lot of money. And if you will not mind, I will have to put it on record that the very first company that supported Supporters Club was Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola did it for 2 years. They could no longer do it. Then, for 1 year, MTN did it. They could no longer sustain it. Well, later we got Globacom. Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. has been the brain, the backbone, the sponsor, and the financier of the Supporters Club for several years, doling out millions from 50 to 60 to 100 million of naira, and even in dollars. So that has been the way, that has been how we have been able to surmount it. We have some philanthropists. We have Taiwo Afolabi, who has always supported us whenever we are going out. I remember Alhaji Aliko Dangote in 1996. He supported us, and some other Nigerians too. Esther Ajayi, when we were going to Russia 2018, I went to this woman and I told her our problems. The second day, she was able to give us 20 million. I went to meet the then governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Governor Ambode. He gave me 10 million. The club, not me per se, he gave the club. And when we were going to Brazil in 2014, that was the very first time any government supported us. We went to Brazil. Before going, I visited the then president, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. After decorating him as our patron, he pronounced a 50 million naira grant for us to go to to Brazil. Actually, we were going to request from him a whole plane to take us there because we were going for a national assignment. Supporters Club is a selfless service. But the president gave us 50 million. I mean, good luck, Jonathan. But we ended up spending 189 million. The difference of that was raised by me going to Dr. Mike Adenuga, Taiwo Afolabi, Esther Ajayi, Ambode, and the rest. That's how we've been running the club. We've been running the club, meeting people who lost the game of football, who lost Nigeria, and they have been helping us. Well, very, very unfortunate. It's a story I hate to be talking about all the time because I've said many things about it more than 100 times. Supporters Club had been there for several years. And Dr. Rafiu Ladipo was the national chairman for just 10 years, from 1990 to 2000. I left that position in 2000. And then somebody else became the national chairman. And that was Alhaji Waide Anderile Yusuf, who was the chairman for 8 good years. After him, there was Otumba Olatunde Bashonu. He was there for 4 years. And there came a time when one Mr. Vincent Okumagba acted in that capacity for 3.5 years. And there was one little mistake, misunderstanding, because people will not want to wait for their time. And all I told them is, please, go through an election. Anybody who would not want to go through an election is not supposed to be on that chair of the national chairman. That's what came up. And the then NFF believed that there could be 20 arms of supporters clubs in Nigeria. It could even run to 100 units. But it's unhealthy. You cannot have a situation where your team is playing right on the field and you have different corners where you have the Nigerian supporters scattered all over the field, singing in different voices. It's not good. But look, I've been able to manage it because God has told me that supporters must not die. Supporters Club will not die. I have to be patient to let them see reasons why the Supporters Club should go and support the teams with unity. As a unit, go and support the team. But if you have funded your own, maybe you have registered your own, you have your own office, you can stay in your office. Manage your office the way you want to manage it. But when it becomes a national assignment, you are going out to represent Nigeria. All of us as supporters must come together to support Nigeria as a group supporting one team. Not when you have some people in Angle 90, some people in Angle 180, some people in Angle 360, some people in Angle 60, supporting one team. It does not augur well. There's nothing you are going to achieve from this. I remember when we were in Russia, and my members have gone in. I normally wait for all of them to go in before I will finally go in. So when I was going in as the last person, I entered the stadium and I saw them, some people up there, I saw some people on the left, I saw some people on the right. And when I was going to meet the band boys, some of their security men came to me. I'm in Russia. And asked me where I was going. I said I was going to meet my people. They said I should bring their ticket, my ticket. And when they saw the ticket, no, you can't go there, go there. That place is not yours. Your seat is downstairs there. How do I coordinate the activities of my members? This is what we've been telling them. Supporters Club must be united. They must come together, sing together, cheer the team together, and let us have a befitting result. When the referee and all the match officials see a group of people, even if you are 200 or 300, converging in one special place together, in your uniforms, in your green and white, and you are singing, they know you have come to support your team. So it takes them every reason to want to do the game better. Well, when you are not there, in a capacity crowd of 90,000, we had 5 supporters here, 2 there, 7 there. When the Argentines were about 87,000 in the field, singing for their team. So I believe that the supporters club must be together. I've been able to manage it now, up to now. The national chairman of the supporters club as we speak is Reverend Samuel Ikpeya. He coordinates the activities of the supporters club in Nigeria. While worldwide, I'm the president general because we have supporters club in all the other countries of the world. And when we come together, there must be one person. There must be the head. We have the president of the supporters club in Cote d'Ivoire. We have the chairman of the supporters club in UK. In all Francophone countries, the head of the supporters club is called president. In Anglophone countries, the head of supporters club is addressed as Mr. Chairman. So the president general is not just what we just came out with. It's because there's a need for it. That's why the president general worldwide comes up. Well, I have told you a lot of people don't want to wait for their time. And when you don't wait for your time, what do you lose? You lose much. There was going to be an election. And I called all of them, go and pick your nomination papers for the election. But some of them will not want to because they want appointments. And I don't believe in appointments because we have a constitution in the supporters club that says everybody and anybody who wants to be an officer must contest for election. I insisted that there must be an election. Some people would not want an election because they know, probably they believe they cannot win. They decided to say, oh, let's go our way because we don't want election. That's it. Before now, up to about 8 years, 10 years ago, the Super Eagles were really super. But in the last 8 years, we have not been there. We have not been doing well. Don't forget that in 1994, Nigeria's team, the Super Eagles, were judged to be the 5th best in the world. What is our ranking now? 37th in the world. Even in Africa, what is our ranking? So the Eagles of the last 8, 9 years ago, no, they have not done well at all. I want anybody to tell me, what did we win in the last 8, 9 years? Don't forget that in 1980, we won the Cup of Nations right here at the National Stadium. In 1994, we were in Tunisia. We won it. In 2013, we were in South Africa. We won the Cup of Nations. In 1996, we won the Atlanta Olympics. Since then, what can we point to that we have won? So the Eagles of the last 8, 9 years, no. They did their best, but their best was not good enough for Nigeria. And that's why we didn't win nothing. But I want to believe that the present crop of Eagles being put together now, going for the Cup of Nations, we want to write their names in gold. And if that is so, it means they have to put in their best to see that going to Cote d'Ivoire 2024 will not just be going there to make a number. We're going there to give a very good account of ourselves. Who says it is not possible for Nigeria to win the Cup of Nations again? It is possible, but it takes a determined group of people as players who wants to write their names in gold to do that. When you are rating the coach, a coach is as good as his last match. Passero was employed, he was given a target, and the NFF has the power to either sack or renew his contract. I think according to them, maybe he has performed according to what they want. But for me, as a Nigerian, I want Passero to go to Cote d'Ivoire and show us that he is serious and show us that the Super Eagles can still fly and make us get minimally play in the semi-final of the Cup of Nations. Anything short of that, no. Well, I want to believe that our Nigerian coaches are good. There have been 2 or 3 foreign coaches that have done well. Westhoff, Bonfrejo, and this which doctor, what's his name again? I'll remember his name. This guy qualified us to play in the World Cup with a match to go. The witch doctor. The witch coach, we call him, we remember it now, it will come back. So, since then, there's no foreign coach that has done better. I was one of the people that went to London to recruit this man I'm talking about. When we recruited him, he came to Nigeria, and he made us to qualify for the World Cup with a match still to go. Philippe Trouzet. I was there in England where we interviewed him. Well, since then, it has been one coach coming to take our money, not giving a very good account of us, of himself. But the Nigerian coaches, let's also praise some of them. Some of them. The late Shuaibu Amadu qualified us to play in the World Cup, even though he did not take us there. The late Stephen Keshi also made us to win the Cup of Nations of 2013 in South Africa. So if that happens, who says the Nigerian coaches are not good? Some Nigerian coaches have proved themselves, but they still need to do more. But these 2 coaches, exceptional. That is the real reason, the real controversy we're having between the NFF and the coaches. You don't hire a coach if you know you cannot pay his wages. You must be ready to pay his salary as at when due. There's no coach who will labor and labor, and after which he would have trained your players, and you are owing him salaries of 5 months, 7 months. Which coach will take that? Where is that happening across the world? Nobody will accept that. So that has to be looked into. And that is why the NFF has got to look for serious sponsors and raise funds for them to be self-sufficient, to be able to take all these challenges of paying the coaches wages. That is a big problem, and I think the present NFF board, led by Ibrahim Guzo, will look into that, look for sponsors, serious sponsors who are interested, not just interested, but who are genuinely interested in the Nigerian game and in the Nigerian nation. You may be interested in the Nigerian game, but if you are not interested in the Nigerian game, Nigerian nation, you may not give what it takes to do. You must have the love of this country at heart, and then love the game also. In the last 15, 10, 8 years, our boxing went down. In the last 5 years to today, our boxing has come up. I am the president of the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control, and I confirm to you that every week now, we have a boxing championship. We had one last week. Tomorrow, we will have one in Abuja. When I come back the following week, there's another one. We have promoters now promoting our boxing events. And our boxers are now earning big money other than what they were earning before. In those days, they were earning 20,000, 30,000. They go on the ring, they hit them, they shed blood, and they sweat. What do they earn? But since the last 3-4 years, our boxers have been earning big money. Some of them earning millions. Some of them traveling abroad to earn $5,000, $10,000. And that is made possible because we have a group of people in the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control who respects each other, who respect the boxers, who respects the coaches, and who respects the promoters. Take, for instance, I'm sorry to mention, GoTV. GoTV night every day, they've had about 29 GoTV sessions. You know what that means? GoTV for every boxing fight. They don't spend less than 20 million. They even spend more. And our boxing now is being watched all over the world, if not just Africa. A lot of things have been said about this. We have sent memos, we have sent advice, we have met with the people in charge severally. I've had to write to put the Minister of Sports, the National Assembly, and the rest. How can we develop our sports? It's very important. Without grassroots development, you won't be there. As a matter of fact, Kanu Nwankwo happens to be a product of the Nigerian League. J.J. Okocha, product of Nigerian League. Finidi George, Emmanuel Amunike, and all of them played in the Nigerian League. How many of our Super Eagles players, those that are playing for us now, do you see what developed here? Maybe you have 2 or 3 home-based players playing. But the real product for our football development, they are here in Nigeria. We have to go back to those things we were doing that time when we got the likes of the Segun Odegbami, Henry Nwosu, Christian Chukwu, down to Stephen Keshi, Okocha, and the rest. We have to go back. We don't have to rely on those players who have been serving us in the last 12, 15 years, believing that they will continue to serve us the same way. No matter what you do, players will get weak. They will age. And when they are aging, that's when they start referring to them as tiring legs. You need replacements for them. How do you get that? You can only get them from the local scenes. We have various clubs in Nigeria playing the leagues, the Premiership, the National League, and the rest. 20 teams in one. Do you know how many of our boys out there that can play football if we harness them, bring them together, and give them the right training? Of course, let me ask you, how many of our club sites have feeder teams? Feeder teams, they are very important to the development of the game. When you have a junior player playing the feeder team and is maturing, bring him to replace a tiring leg. In the senior team, how many of those teams that we have can boast of feeder teams? How many of them can boast of their own fields? Perhaps we have about 3 clubs that are privately owned. But others are owned by governments, state governments. And state governments, what do they use them for? For political gains. And if it is political gains, well, it's off or it's off it. Let's do football like it is done elsewhere. Football is big business. People are making billions of dollars in football. Nigeria can do same. If we do same, we will take off all this nonsense. The boys going about doing a lot of violence, going to do yahoo yahoo, going to do kidnapping and the rest. You will have all of them looking forward to becoming millionaires and billionaires in future, and of course becoming employers of labor apart from fending for their families. Above 50 football, yeah, it's above 50. I'm the chairman worldwide for that. And my president is Ambassador Edward Olutoke, who has given his support, his finances to be able to do this game. The thing is this: if you have played football, you have played up to the level that you are about 40, and you are no longer playing, you are no longer doing what you know how best to do, you now go and sit down, not doing nothing. Boredom sets in. And within that period, rather than getting fit, you are aging. Some of them developing sickness, various sicknesses that they ought not to have. But because they were no longer doing what they know how best to do, they sit down. So the concept is bringing them back. Not just the footballers, but anybody above 50 could play football, keeping fit, and above all, living a standard life, making money. There's a way, we have one thing we are developing with the above 50 concept for you to make money. Anybody who is above 50 and has no car of ease or no house of ease or a home has not been living standard. So above 50 concept is not just to play football alone, but to help you to keep fit, to keep you healthy, and make you to live standard life and make money. That is what we are doing. And as I speak with you, Brazil has embraced it. Mexico has written to us that they will want to play with us. The last competition we had 8 clubs: Ajegule, Surulere, Redeem, Etiraikate, Abeokuta. All of them, they came to play at the National Stadium. And the prize, the winner's prize, was 5 million, which was paid instantly. The second place was 2 million, while the top place was 1 million. And we put a lot of money in organizing that. We are going to start the second edition very soon. We are now having clubs from Benin, Edo, where people from Abuja, people from QATAR registering to be part of the above 50 football. How much do they put into sports? What you have in sports is noise. How much money do they put into sports? They need more money to run sports, particularly the development of the sports, not just taking part in competitions. Because if you have to develop sports, it takes a lot of money. And all those successful countries doing sports, it's because they have put money into its development. So government has got to put more money into the development of sports. Fantastic women. They've done us proud severally, having been champions of Africa for 9 times. I don't think any country in Africa can boast of that. But beyond that, we should also realize that these ladies, they are getting old. Some of them are 40. 38, 36, down the ladder. You need replacements for them. That's why we're asking that we should put more money, we should put more focus in the development of sports, both male and female. I think with what the female national team has done for Nigeria, we owe it a duty to put more money into the development of female football. I'm not thinking about that. If I want to, I would have been in politics, party politics. I would have been there, and by now I think I would have been something else. But no, I chose to be part of giving an image to Nigeria, a good image, positive one. Take, for instance, if you go out of the country, you get to the entry point of any country, and you speak of our sports, they give you a wide latitude for you to go in. Well, you say when you get there, you speak sports. They ask you, where's Kano? Where's Okocha? Where's Finidi? Where's Amokachi? That means they recognize Nigeria sports. In fact, that's the only thing we can be proud of right now. Every other thing we talk in diversities. But when it comes to sports, every one of us were together. If the Nigerian team is playing and a Christian has to pray, and he say, I pray that the Super Eagles wins today's match, in Jesus' name I pray. Even the Muslim will say amen. So together in sports, where in this country, football and sports is a lifeline, particularly football. Football unites not just the states, it unites the country, it unites the countries of the world. So I believe we can do much more in promoting and supporting our sports so that we get the best benefits, as we say. First and foremost, I want to use this opportunity once again to congratulate him on his appointment. I've met him twice now, and I'm going to meet him soon again. And why am I going to meet him is to advise him on what I think from my own views and from what I've seen to improve sports. First, we have talked about it. The development of sports is key, not just the taking part in competitions. Because if you are not developing sports, you are only taking in competition. If you don't win, what happens? But if you develop sports, one, you are helping the youth. Two, you are helping the nation. Three, you are growing the economy. And thirdly, you are removing restiveness and restlessness of the youth in the society. I want us to advise the minister to key into the development of sports from the grassroots. Let's go back to the schools. Let's go back to the rural areas. Football is played everywhere. Go under the bridges, you see people playing football. Let the minister put in place, through the NFF, a consortium of coaches that will go to these schools, that will go to these corners. Everywhere in Nigeria, you have talents that can be helped, sponsored, and nurtured to stardom. Once we do that, our sports will improve. And let the minister put his feet there on ground and say, every club that is playing in the Premiership and the National League must have their feeder teams, must have their own fields and other infrastructures to make them develop sports. Thank you very much. I want to pray for this organization to continue to thrive, to continue to blossom in making money, because without money, this kind of things that I hear cannot be sustained. So God will grow you the more, and your business will continue to flourish.
Hello and welcome to the maiden edition of Queen's Court, where we discuss the role of women in leadership and nation building. I'm Juliet Biniti, Reverend Juliet. In recent times, more women have stepped into leadership roles, demonstrating empowering role of education, technology, and access to information. These women leaders have not only achieved remarkable success in their fields, but also played pivotal role in promoting gender equality and education reforms. Today, we will be looking at the role of women in leadership and the unseen barriers. But before we set the ball rolling, let's go on a quick break and we'll be right back to introduce our guests. Welcome back. Women leaders already battling workplace stereotypes and seeking work-life balance found themselves shouldering more enormous responsibility in recent time. Hence, we will be looking at the role of women in leadership and the rising challenges. Joining me for this discussion is my sis, a big sis, but in this court, we will call you Lady. Lady Orochi Ogan, leadership consultant, and the CEO of O'Neill, a global management firm focused on leadership. At my immediate right, welcome, Lady Orochi.
Thank you
to the
very
Queen's
much.
Court.
Thank you.
Maiden version.
Thank you.
A pleasure
Thank
having you here.
I'm glad.
And of course, another big sis of mine, a wonderful, incredible woman leader, Lady Adeola Aziz. In this court, the Queen's Court. So get ready for that. A politician and a social entrepreneur, and of course, the founder of an NGO, Community Care Foundation, focused on empowering youth and women, and especially in agriculture, solving the hunger problem. And I just want to welcome you, sis, Lady Adeola. You're welcome to Queen's Court.
Thank you very much for having me.
We will be discussing these matters of women in leadership and the challenges. Yeah. And today's discussion is going to be focused more on the ideological issues of these leadership issues, because women and leadership is almost as if it's not something to go together. When you say women, it doesn't count leadership. So we want to have that discussion, understanding that women have been leading in the past. We have seen great women leaders. We have seen Queen Amina Ozaria. We have seen Funmilayo Ransom Kuti in the West, and we have seen Margaret Ekpo in the East. So even in Nigeria, we have women who have led and showed tremendous leadership. But they're also very minimal leaders all over, abysmal women in leadership in different spheres of influence. The banking sector is beginning to show up with great women as CEO at the top of the echelon of the bank. But however, do we have enough women who are going to occupy that seat the moment they leave? So this discussion is very important, especially to a new generation of women rising, with the issues of women leading both at home and at the city gate. That balance of things, we need to have that discussion. That's why it's important to have the discussion. I'm coming to you, Lady Adeola, and of course it's going to be the same, we'll dovetail to that same area of discussion on these rural women. Because of the issues of mindset, culture, educational background, and the 9 years of the philosophy of understanding that women are also leaders, how do we navigate? Apart from education, training, let's say training, what is the intricate issues that you think is still limiting these women, even at the rural level? Let me give you an example. I was at a program where I needed to speak to some women. When they called me, I thought they were educated women, but I found out they were not, so I had to go into pidgin English a little bit. But I realized that these women have such capacity and role to play in the society. And they were complaining at the issues of the genital mutilation, the issue of the girl-child marriage was within the middle belt of Nigeria. And I was telling them, but you are a leader, you are women leaders. And they were like, no, what are you talking about? That's is the chief, is that this. So how are we going to go about, especially the rural Africa, because we have over 20 million women entrepreneurs, SMEs, and it's fundamentally women, producing, adding to the GDP per capita of Nigeria. Incredible when I saw that data. And yet we say we are not leading. Can you speak to that? And Lady Horichi also would add to that comment, because it's at the center of this discourse in its ideological and philosophical level. Because before we talk about specializing in areas of leadership, do we really want the men to still tell us to lead, or can we just simply realize it?
You see, when you're talking about what you just said at the rural level, right? We need to understand that, like I said, most of them are illiterate, and most of them are controlled and led by their chiefs, the ballers, their husbands, and all of that. I'll give you an example. During the local government election, we had to have a by-election in one of my wards. And there was a particular woman who was very, very active, widow, 6 children, she was under 23. And I said to her that, why don't you come and represent the ward, because we needed you to be there. And somebody asked. And she said, yes. So I said, okay, we will support her, we will fund her, and all of that. Do you know that by the next day or 2 days later, when we reached her, we couldn't get her on the phone? And I actually paid somebody to go and look for her. Did something happen? What had happened was that her uncle, her late husband's brother, the ballers, and said, how dare she put herself forward? Or she said she didn't put herself forward, that it was Honorable Adiola Aziz who asked her, because she saw the potential. She mobilized a lot for us, and she went into hiding.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine that? So I now realize that what we need to do, we have to start the education from these male at that level who control these women.
Excellent.
During campaign, they're for you. They will do this, they'll support you, they say this is who we want. On the day of election, right, their husbands, the ballers, they would have given all of them. All of you, this is the direction you go. So when you have that kind of, I don't know what to call it, whether it's a directive, I don't want to use the word bullying or whatever, a directive from their husband,
that's what it is.
Whatever, to do this. So tell me, how do those women want to express themselves? By voting or deciding or taking choices or making decisions that they feel is right for them. It's not inclusive.
So we need strong advocacy.
We need strong advocacy, and we need to try and see how we can get the buy-in of these men who have a strong hold on their wives, their sisters, on these women, to say, look, this is your daughter. This is what will happen. And a woman at that level only cares for food on the table for the children and how the children will go to school. Once you can satisfy those 2 needs, right, a woman will thrive on her own. But when she doesn't have that independence of mind to make a decision by herself, hey, she's in bondage.
Wow.
She's in bondage, and that is at that local level. I saw it live and direct. So they do not have the capacity. They've got the competency. They do not have that capacity to take those decisions by themselves. So it's limiting, and it's patriarchy, it's stereotyping, and hey, why should you raise your head up to say you want to lead? Who's giving you permission?
Excellent. But in comparatively to that, let me even draw it back to even at the international level, we only have about 23% to 25% of women at the global level. So if the rural woman, the issue of that control, is it the same as the woman at the elite level who has gone to school, at least did her high school, or suddenly she disappeared? I have had friends who were probably acting before, they get married and they just disappear off the screen. What is it? Is it just the limiting factor from the men, or the psychology of the women themselves, knowing that now that I'm married, maybe I'm not called to lead?
Very interesting question. Very interesting question, because even before you asked it, I wanted to use a corporate example equivalent to the rural one that
Excellent.
I attended an HR meet and greet meeting. It was a people-centered thing, and the head of HR of a multinational bank came to talk to us about barriers and women in the corporate world. She gave a practical example. She said, if there's a general management or CEO opportunity in Côte d'Ivoire, and you call a man and said, go and prepare, we're getting you ready, you're going to be the CEO in Côte d'Ivoire, the man will jump, thank, and if you call a woman, the woman will tell you, this is an exciting opportunity. Let me go home and discuss it with my husband. This is what is going on in the corporate world. I'm not talking about rural environment. So these barriers are real.
Yeah.
But in the same circumstances, we now had another CEO from a bank that told us about intentionality and planning. She said she went into banking career and she was intentional from word go that she was going to be at the top and nobody was going to limit her. It's not about feminism or women, whatever. She just had a relationship with her husband that helped her husband understand her and help her husband push her career. So she had a baby at the point they made her a chief executive officer for a bank in Ivory Coast or somewhere. She just, then there was not even GSM. She just planned, had 2 stable nannies, had a way of reaching out to them, you know, on a minute basis when she's doing her work. And she was able to do the assignment. She was able to take the position and enhance her career in the bank. And the time she was talking now, she was now CEO in Nigeria. So these barriers are real. And because I'm an SME person, when you mentioned SME, my body was shaking.
I can imagine, yes.
You see, so it's not an easy assignment, but if we're intentional, you need to reach out to them. It's a two-pronged approach. The first thing is that you need to sensitize the women. You need to get their buy-in. You know, you need to let them understand the benefits for them. It's not for me. You know, but you need to talk to them at their level. Speak vernacular. If you can't speak that vernacular, get somebody to interpret. Some of them do not. If they understand Pidgin English, I'm very good at that. When I get to my village, I start racking in Igbo language. What is important to me is communication. Yeah. So you reach out to them at their level and try and sensitize them, create awareness. Let them. There's a paradigm shift that needs to happen. Let them begin. You break down the growth mindset in a simple way that will help them understand. That's the first step. Second step is to work with this huge, I don't know what to call them, husbands, chiefs, cousins, uncles, the male factor, you know, that is sitting over the female folk patriarchally, is to get them to understand. It's also a buy-in process, you know, have conversations with them, help them to understand. When you get into a rural environment, you get to the ballet. The ballets, I've seen people that were able to work and change an environment with the Oba. The Obas, recently, they're very literate. The ballets, even if they're not, they have understanding. If you get their buy-in, you just go out of your way, try and get their buy-in. Once you get their buy-in, it's easier to get the buy-in of all the other male figures in that environment. It is possible. I had listened to a senator that wanted to change something fundamentally from an history of influence, and it was genital mutilation. And she started, it was a Herculean task, but she was deliberate, she was planned. She started with the Oba of her village. Yes. She started with the Oba, continued having meetings until the Oba got the buy-in.
Excellent.
So when the Oba got the buy-in,
she went to the youth. The youth got the buy-in and said any woman that is mutilated will not marry. Do you understand? So I'm giving this practical example to say that it's possible.
Societies have changed.
Yes, it's possible. If you go systematically, you will have a buy-in, and there'll be a mindset change. There'll be a paradigm shift, and then you begin to make progress. By the time you're handling simultaneously the women, and the male figures that are barriers, the barriers are real.
No,
that's why we need to. They're real. Be very deliberate about it.
I want to add to that contribution, especially for the current generation of women that we have. One of the things that I have also found out is that if you know you have the desire to lead, for goodness sake, when you are dating your spouse or your husband to be, please discuss it. Because some men will not entertain it. So you will not get in and say, when I marry, I will change his mind.
No, it's too late.
Because if it doesn't happen at that stage, you don't express your desire to him, and he doesn't support it at the beginning, it's not going to work.
That's the story. I can simplify. Yes. I can get up today, I'm going tomorrow.
Right. So getting the buy-in at an early stage, once you know leadership is in your mind, is extremely important. So that you know where you're going to. Because if they don't support you,
no, it's a problem. It's a challenge.
And at the same time,
married.
Yes. At the same time, as a
single
politician again, if you go out there and you don't see your husband beside you once or twice, it's like, what is she? Is she here? You know the negativity that goes with it. I remember when I was contesting, I had to tell my husband at the early stages of my campaign, please be beside me. And they all definitely they enjoyed.
Excellent.
So it's important that they get the buy-in of the husband before the violence and the obas and all of that.
Excuse me. Can I add something? Before you add, just for us to begin to conclude something, because this is a proof of what you have said. Because the data shows that there was a organization that financially outperformed industry competitors have more women in leadership. That the more women are in leadership, the organization's competitiveness increases and improves. And I always tell men also, if your wife is a leader, is an improvement to your social capital, is an improvement to your financial capital. As we wind down this discussion that is a continuum, it continues because it's a very broad discussion. And we now see the reason why the discussion should happen, because the women quotient in the leadership role beside whether it's their husband or other men is quite low. We still have them in all spheres of influence. We're having that challenge. So you can make your conclusive point of what will it take for us to increase the quotient as we wrap this up. Starting from her as she concludes her points, then also dovetail to that question.
My last words as we conclude.
Yes.
I was going to say that when it comes to marriage, I'm not deviating. I think that conversation should happen whether you want to be a leader or not.
Yes.
You need to as a human, because you need to let your husband get your husband consent from the beginning to support you to be the best versions of your life.
That's it.
You need to.
That's your HR speaking.
Yes. You need to get your husband to support you to be, you are his helpmeet. You're there to help him to be the best versions of his life, but it's a partnership. He should also make a commitment to help you to be the best versions of your life.
Precisely.
And so if you have that balance at the beginning, it's easier to manage things. It's easier to manage things, when you're in the marriage. And these are my last words. I keep coming back to, move plan and organize. We need to be very strategic.
Yes.
We need to deal with the critical mass.
We need to encourage benefits. We need to have a dialogue from the city. This is not just your husband. Excellent. Outside the environment, we don't come together as a team.
That's what we're doing. This is not a talk show.
Definitely.
I'm a solution bearer. Here to solve problems. That's why I came on the program.
Yes.
So outside this program, as we progress, can we come together and put up a strategic plan on what we can execute? And I'm not talking about high level.
Yes.
Let's go back, because my family has a foundation. I understand how to run grassroots issues. Let's go back to the grassroots. Let's start doing something.
Okay, thank you very much. Lady Adeola, as we conclude.
Yes. There's been a lot of talk about the value.
Yes.
About the value that women bring to the table.
Yes.
If they are there.
Okay.
If they show up, if they're there. Promoting